Hi there, Bonnie. Hi there, Cora. Hi there, Henry. Hey, this book I've never seen before in my life. It's written by Dr. Seuss, and these are some stories that he wrote but put away for a long time. And then years after he had died, somebody found these stories and said, hey, they should be published. So I'm going to read you the story called Horton and the Kwuggerbug, plus more lost stories. But you remember Horton from Horton Hears a Who? Was it a Who? Like the Who's in Whoville? Okay. Oops. There's a lot of, that's all for the adults to read about how, well, more and more, how these stories were found. Let's get to the story, because I want to know what happens. Horton and the Kwuggerbug. It happened last May on a very nice day. There's going to be a lot of words. So, while the elephant Horton was walking, they say, just minding his business, just going his way, when a Kwuggerbug dropped from a tree with a plunk and landed on Horton the elephant's trunk. The Kwuggerbug leaned toward the elephant's ear. Perhaps you are wondering why I am here. Well, I've got a secret, he whispered. I know of a beezelnut tree where some beezelnuts grow. Beezelnuts? Horton looked up with wide eyes. Beezelnuts? This was a happy surprise, for of all the nuts in the jungle to eat, the nut of the beezel is by far the most sweet. But why, Horton asked, do you do this to me? Well, or do you tell this to me? Well, you see, the bug answered, my beezelnut tree is rather far off, and I'm not very strong. I'd get there much quicker if you came along. So I'll make you a deal that I think is quite fair. You furnish the legs and you carry me there. I'll furnish the brains and show you the tree. Then half of the nuts are for you and half for me. A deal, Horton said with a smile on his face. Hold tight and we're off to your beezelnut place. Just steer me and show me the best road to take. And he steered the big elephant down. Oops. No road, laughed the Kwuggerbug. We'll take the lake. And he steered the big elephant down to the shore of a lake that was 30 miles long, maybe more. Uh-oh, shivered Horton. Now wait a minute. I can't swim that lake. It has crocodiles in it. Just look at their terrible teeth, how they flash. They'll chew me right up into elephant hash. I think, Mr. Bug, that there surely must be a much safer way to your beezelnut tree. Now, said the Kwuggerbug, don't start to squeal. You promised you'd go, and a deal is a deal. Horton thought, what he says is quite true. A deal is a deal. I must see the deal through. That's why I'm not showing you too many pictures, because there's only one of the Kwuggerbug. So bravely the elephant dived in that pond. He swam and he swam for the shore far beyond, while crocodiles snapped and attempted to eat his tail, his ears, the soles of his feet. They nipped at his knees and they nibbled his chin, and he thought as he fought he would never win. But he swam and he swum and he held his trunk high, while with the Kwuggerbug on it, quite safe and quite dry. A terrible fellow, that Kwuggerbug guy. Just sat there and bossed him. You hustle now, hustle. I furnish the brains, you furnish the muscle. So from 10 in the morning till 2:15, poor Horton fought on till he finally got through to the side of the lake where the beezelnuts grew. He crawled from the water, tired and battered and wet. Now where, Horton asked, are those nuts that I get? Oh, laughed the Kwuggerbug, you're not there yet. Climb that, said the bug, pointing up in the sky at a terrible mountain 9,000 feet high. Climb that? Horton gulped. Not the way that I feel. Tut, tut, said the bug. Now a deal is a deal. And don't start to argue. No ifs and no buts. You'll furnish the ride and I'll furnish the nuts. Oh. That is quite a climb. The climb, sighed poor Horton, will kill me, no doubt. But a deal is a deal. I cannot back out. He drew a deep breath and he threw back his shoulders. He dragged his tired legs over rocks and over boulders. He stumbled and staggered uphill over stones that tattered his toenails and bruised all his bones, while the Kwuggerbug perched on his trunk all the time and kept yelling, "Climb, you dumb elephant, climb!" He climbed, he grew dizzy, his ankles grew numb, but he climbed and he climbed and he clumb and he clumb. His hearing grew faint and his eyesight grew dim, but he clumb and he clumb and he clim and he clim from 2:15 until 4:35, till finally old Horton, more dead than alive, had carried that bug to the very tip-top. And then, only then, did the elephant stop, and he gasped to the bug as he sank to his knees. "Now where are my bezel nuts, sir, if you please?" "Right there," said the bug. Oh. There's nothing down here. "Right there," said the bug. Horton looked. It was true. 'Twas the bezel nut tree where the bezel nuts grew. "But bug," Horton moaned, "we're here and they're there. Way out on that peak in between us is air. Now how can I get through that space in between? I can't walk on air, if you know what I mean." "A deal is a deal," snapped the bug. "I'm the boss. You stretch out your trunk and you put me across." "Stretch, Horton, stretch," yelled the bug. So he stretched. He stretched at 2 feet, but it still wouldn't touch. "Streech, Horton, streech," yelled the bug. So he streeched. It hurt him real badly, but finally it reached. "At last," sang the Kwuggerbug, clicking with glee, and he slid down the trunk to his bezel nut tree. And he picked all those nuts and he stacked a big mound of luscious sweet bezel nuts high on the ground. "But hey," called the elephant, "you over there, half of that mound, don't forget, is my share." "Not yet," said the bug. "All the nuts have been stacked, but before we can share, they have to be cracked." So he cracked all the nuts. And then he said with a laugh, "A deal is a deal, and I'm giving you half. 1/2 of each nut, as you know, is the meat. And that is the half I'm keeping to eat. But half of each nut, as you know very well, is the half of the nut that is known as the shell. The shells are for you," laughed the bug, and he rose and he stuffed all the shucks up the elephant's nose. I don't think that Kwuggerbug is a very nice little creature. Do you? He seems kind of mean and selfish. Now what would you do if he did that to you? With shucks up your nostrils, how dreadful you'd feel. But you couldn't complain, 'cause a deal is a deal. You'd have to act terribly nice and do right. So you'd say in a voice that was very polite, "Thanks, Mr. Kwuggerbug, thank you for these, but they tickle my nose, so look out, I shall sneeze." And you'd sneeze and you'd sneeze, and you'd sniz and you'd sniz, and blow all the shucks from your trunk with a whiz, and just the way Horton did, 'cause they blew out of his. And they blasted the Kwuggerbug so far away that he sailed through the air for the whole month of May and didn't come down till the 15th of June, all tattered and torn in the late afternoon at a place that's so far away now he never can go to his bezel nut tree where the bezel nuts grow. That's the end. I guess Horton didn't get any bezel nuts either, but hope you liked it.